A Zebra steel pen feels good the second you pick it up. These are tough pens that combine style, strength, and value. So, as you battle your way through the day, arm yourself with a tough Zebra steel pen. Now you've found Zen in your pen, and it's tough as steel.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz podcast.
I was going to start the national show here by talking about last night's football game, Kansas City and Oakland, and just how it's what I want for the sport. I don't feel like it's too much to ask for the games to feel a little more like that. Amari Cooper running all over the field as opposed to what it is that we've seen this season. But so that I can enjoy the greatness of Amari Cooper as opposed to watching Derek Carr throw him 3-yard passes. But Mike Ryan says he's excited about an epic sound of the day, and so I will get out of the way. What is this, Mike? I don't know anything about it.
Time now for Guillermo's epic sound of the day. It is going to be epic. Hey, guys.
Hello, Guillermo. Guillermo has a brick on his lap today as part of the Grid of Death challenge, a cinder block.
Friday.
It's
Every
not really
Friday.
a brick. It's a cinder block, right? How has that been? Unpleasant?
It's not fun, Dan. No.
Okay, so just 3 more hours. That's fine.
There was a snail attached to it.
Well, where did you guys
Picked
get
that
it?
up
Out
from
of
the yard?
Like, just out of your yard? You got something out of the yard?
Yeah, it's cinder block. Doesn't everyone have these?
You didn't brush the snail off or anything? No?
And he's still hanging in there. I mean, he may stick around.
All right, talking to the microphone, Guillermo.
It's hard to reach the, like, it's legitimately hard. I can't get to the microphone.
All right, what's the epic sound of the day?
You guys familiar with Chuck Pagano?
Yeah, he's really boring.
Yep.
For those who aren't, he's the head coach of the Colts for now. And here he is talking about his run attack this week.
A lot of Frank, a lot of Mac. Mac and Frank. Mac and Frank and Mac. Mac and cheese. Whatever you want to call it. We're going with Frank and Mac. Frank and Mac attack. You guys like it? I like it. I just made it up. Frank and Mac. Not cheese and Mac. We're going Frank and Mac.
Not Frank and Beans. We're going
What is the matter with him?
Frank and Mac.
Sound of the day is brought to you by Dollar Shave Club. Upgrade the shaving with a fresh blade whenever you want for a fraction of the price. Join DollarShaveClub.com today.
So is that the wackiest and the most creative you've ever heard, our beloved Chuck Pagano? Like, this is him at the height of wacky, right? This is Chuck Pagano's blowing, snorting cocaine off of a desk and sending it to a Nevada model. Like, I'm not saying he did that. I'm saying that this is as far in the extreme as Chuck Pagano will go on wacky.
A lot of Frank, a lot of Mac. Mac and Frank. Mac and Frank and Mac. Mac and cheese. Whatever you want to call it. We're going with Frank and Mac. Frank and Mac attack. You guys like it? I like it. I just made it up. Frank and Mac. Not cheese and Mac. We're going Frank and Mac.
I love that there was somebody trying to interrupt with a follow-up question, and he just thundered over them because he was really feeling it. He was really feeling the creative inspiration of Frank and cheese. Call it Frank and cheese. Done, Pagano. That's what you wanted? It doesn't make any sense. But that's fine. We will call your backfield of fossilized, excuse me.
What?
Frank Gore.
Why is everything race with you?
I mean, it's amazing, man. It's just Pagano sound.
I mean, well, it's not the running back position is not, it's not gentrified. That is not accurate. And that's funny. Words, they're important. Be careful.
Overrated.
Mac and cheese doesn't make a mac.
It's Frank and Mac.
I know he called it Frank and cheese when it would be. Did he call it mac and cheese?
Let's play
Frank
one more
and
time.
Cheese? One more time.
He needed someone named Beans on the
yeah, you
on the
need
team.
somebody.
Yes.
And yes, you do.
A lot of Frank, a lot of Mac. Mac and Frank. Mac and Frank and Mac. Mac and cheese. Whatever you want to call it. We're going with Frank and Mac. Frank and Mac attack. You guys like it? I like it. I just made it up. Frank and Mac. Not cheese and Mac. We're going Frank and Mac.
I mean, what was the question? Who's your starter at running back? I don't have a starter. That was the answer.
Now, if he had Beanie Wells on his team, it would have worked out well for him. Yep.
That is where it's at. If it had been Frank and Beanie.
Mac and beans. Frank and Mac and beans. Beanie Mac.
It was Dr. Seuss.
Beanie Mac.
It was Dr. Seuss. Bernie Mac. It was Dr. Seuss. Yeah, it was great. I know, Guillermo, I'm with you on this. Okay, look, I am with you on this. Nobody's going to know that we had that author on who explained to us that it's not Dr. Seuss. And so I shouldn't call him Dr. Seuss. Dr. Seuss, by the way, didn't actually like children. Put that on the poll, Guillermo. Did you know that Dr. Seuss didn't actually like children? It's a fairly amazing thing to say. But did you know that actually put that up as well? Because even if you're an ardent listener to our show, did you know that Dr. Seuss's name is pronounced Dr. Seuss? But do you think that Chuck Pagano left that press conference and was like, wow, that felt good? Like, I can actually do things in a press conference that aren't cliches and droning and, hi, Frank, how you doing?
Yes.
Like, you think he felt liberated from the shackles after all these years? Liberated from the shackles?
100%. Although I'm fearful that he's become emboldened now and will start just letting it fly during press conferences, which doesn't serve this show well because we want him to speak only in cliche.
Yes, be a football guy all the time. So that game last night, Stugotz, if you're not familiar, Kansas City and Oakland played, and of course Oakland won because football.
Mm-hmm.
Like, of course.
Yep.
Oakland's looked bad all season. Kansas City's looked more solid than anybody all season. So, of course, Oakland wins. And what I wanted to ask you, because this is something that I find pretty consistently frustrating about football, that I don't know what I'm watching, so I really don't understand how it is that I could watch the Oakland-Washington game, or how you could do any analysis in this sport, given that you don't know how the bodies feel every week. You have no idea who's trying to compensate for a shoulder injury with a cortisone shot that is going to make the Washington defensive line crushed the Oakland offensive line in a way that stunned me. 4 guys just kept wrecking the Oakland line. Now, I think I know that the Kansas City defensive line is better than the Washington defensive line. I thought I knew that. I thought that Houston, if Oakland's offensive line has been having trouble all season long, an offensive line that I thought was as good as any in football last year.
Right.
What am I to make of what was happening last night where they were finally able to throw down the field to Amari Cooper because Derek Carr had time? He had time to sit back there and throw the ball down the field, and Amari Cooper made plays down the field, and it's what I want from football. I want my football to look like that, where I know Amari Cooper's good, and he's rewarded for being good, and I'm rewarded for how good he is because I get to enjoy athleticism in the open field.
I mean, it was fun last night.
But you know what I'm asking you?
Yeah, but Dan, it's just kind of a week-to-week thing. Like, I think bodies hurt. I think people are injured. I don't think everyone's 100% every week. And we have said this for years now. We have no idea what we're watching because we're not paying attention to that stuff. We're just not. We're paying attention to the quarterback. We're paying attention to a couple of guys on defense who are stars. We're paying attention to a running back. We're paying attention to the wide receivers, and that's it.
Do you feel frustrated at all, though? Do you have any frustration in not understanding how it is that Amari Cooper could be pretty stinky all year, and then yesterday he's good? And I mean, you're shaking your shoulders, but I feel like Julio Jones, we know every damn week Antonio Brown, every week he's gonna have 100 yards and catches.
But Julio Jones is up and down. This season he's been up and down. He has, I'm telling you.
But up and down the way that Amari Cooper, where he's a number 1 receiver, and then he's doing, like, Amari Cooper hasn't looked like a number 1 receiver all year. Julio Jones is up and down, like 1 catch for 7 yards or 2 catches for 10 yards.
I mean, I'll give you the logs in a second.
But I don't think that's ever happening to Julio Jones.
Julio Jones is he battled a little bit of hip thing, and that's fairly recent. He's always going to have that foot problem, but he has 0 touchdowns this year. It's bizarre.
Do you guys find it frustrating at all? What I'm telling you, though, that because this sport wrecks the bodies, that week to week, you don't know how healthy anybody is that you're watching, and so it becomes impossible to make any kind of accurate assessment.
Yes. I mean, it's frustrating. And listen, Julio Jones had a game where he had 4 catches for 30 yards this year.
No, but I'm not talking about 4 catches
I know
for
Amari
30.
was bad.
Amari has had some games where I'm like, that never happens to a number 1 receiver.
Was Derek Carr playing in those games?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, I can't explain it. I can't explain it. I mean,
but that's what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, instead of enjoying that I can't explain it, I get consistently frustrated by it. That last night happens, and the only reason that you can explain what happened last night, which is that Oakland is winning, throwing the ball all over the field, the only way to explain it is football. Football's weird.
Yeah. Is it weird that I was watching that game and I thought Amari Cooper didn't necessarily play well? because he caught about half of his targets. He left about 200 more yards on the field, it felt like.
11 of 19.
Well,
he caught 11 of 19 passes.
But the other thing that
he had some bad drops.
Yes, and he's had bad drops all season. I think he leads the league in drops. But
he had a couple plays that didn't go in as drops that he could have made a play on.
Yep. Yeah, well, it seems to me that Carr trusts Crabtree more for good reason. Because Crabtree, he's got very solid hands.
Yeah.
Don Le Batard.
Michael Jordan never scored 70 in a game.
No, but he scored 60-something in a legendary playoff game that they won.
Stugotz.
They lost.
Did they really?
They lost, yeah.
Wow, breaking news.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
One of the many things I love about the community around this show is that we'll just be sitting around here, and Method Man's going to join us later, and Tim Kurkjian as well, but we'll just be sitting around here doing our show, our allegedly professional radio show, and then what will end up happening is this will suddenly break out because something has happened within the community where somebody writes in, I'm all in with Lou Williams as the top sneaky young player in sports at somehow only the age of 30. Now, nobody was talking about that. We were just trying to do our allegedly professional radio show, and then bang, a game of sneaky young breaks out. And your hand is terrible, sir. Lou Williams. That's a terrible hand. Is Andrew Bynum older or younger than Lou Williams?
Oh, my guess is he's younger.
But, Andrew Bynum, don't you think of Andrew Bynum as kind of old?
Andrew Bynum is 29.
Yeah, he's 29.
So I win, right? If his sneaky young hand of Lou Williams, if he's all in with that, I win with an Andrew Bynum. Do I not?
I got Greg Oden.
Well, you're playing a different game. That's a different game. People who look really old.
Oh.
Like that's kind of like Greg Oden. Greg Oden looks like he looked like Caldwell Jones. Go Google that, please. At 19. At 19, he looked like...
The amount of people saying, Caldwell who?
Yeah, well, go Google Caldwell Jones, and you will see that it would be funny if Greg Oden looked like that at 19. But we've got a more pressing matter on our hands, as somebody writes in here wanting to play the sneaky young Lou Williams game. And it's this texter writing in, has anyone located Jay Bilas? And it's a reasonable question, because we've been making jokes. I think they're jokes about Rick Pitino being a vampire and stuff.
Jokes.
But Jay Bilas had to interview him, and they did the interview the other day, and nobody's heard from Jay Bilas since, or we haven't heard from Jay Bilas since. And so we are concerned about this. And Mike, I don't know, should we play this because it feels unethical? The last anyone at ESPN heard from him, we've actually talked to a producer who sent us the voicemail from Jay. It's
right.
the last anyone has heard of.
Yeah,
Jay Bilas.
It was before he headed in to record that interview with Rick Pitino that aired, and since then, no one's heard from Jay. And I've had an internal struggle as to whether or not to play
I don't think we can air that, can we?
I've rationalized it by saying we're just really concerned for Jay, and maybe this might provide hints as to his whereabouts, and we're just trying to.
But it feels unethical. It feels unethical without his knowledge and without
We're worried, though. I think it's better we'll play it, and if someone has a problem, we'll apologize, but I feel like our intentions are pure here.
All right. But I don't think I really don't think that this is a good idea to air this, because this is not something that ESPN does. And well, all right, just go ahead and play it. Whatever. We'll take the consequences.
Hello. No one is available to take your call. Please leave a message after the tone.
Hey, David, it's Bilas. We're all set for the Pitino interview. He didn't ask for any conditions on topics. I can ask anything I want, and I can go into any area I want. He did have a couple of requests, logistical stuff, so it shouldn't be a big deal. He'd like to do the interview at midnight, and he's going to be in the Carpathian Mountains, so I guess we'll have to have a local camera crew. Really can't blame him for wanting to get out of town with all the media attention. He did ask about our blood types, and he expressed some concern over garlic being used, so you might want to let catering know that he may have some dietary restrictions. He said bottled water would be fine, and asked that we make sure there was no holy water. He asked about the appropriate attire, which frankly I hadn't thought about, so I just told him business casual, open collar. That seemed to make him happy. He asked if I was going to wear a turtleneck, but I told him I'm not Steve Jobs or Mike Bray, and he got a kick out of that one. So, okay, that's it. So I'll just see it at the venue. And let's not let this out to anyone until the interview's done. Like, don't tell Le Batard, because he'll just make a big joke out of everything on the air. No offense, but That guy's stupid. All right, later.
All right, I wasn't expecting that at the end. I thought that was unnecessary. All right, so we're all if anyone's heard from Jay Bilas, please let us know. I don't feel good about airing that without his consent, but just so that everyone knows, we're very concerned about the whereabouts of Jay Bilas.
He may be around the Carpathian Mountains, which I thought was a pretty big hint.
Reception might be hard there. That might be the part of the problem. It might be why we haven't heard from him in a while. It's patchy cell reception. Carpathian Mountains. Excellent comedic phrase.
That's it?
Yeah, that's all I've got. Put it on the poll, Guillermo, at Levitard Show. Is Carpathian Mountains an excellent phrase? Do you realize I am rooting every weekend to have the situation that we had in Thursday Night Football last night, where no time on the clock and the defense gets to cheat on every play, because if there's no time on the clock, all of a sudden you get a defense that's worried less about doing the cheating things and trying to get away with them, because all you're doing is getting half the distance to the goal line. I want every game in the NFL to end that way. If you are doing 3 yards at a time that way, I will take it.
But they didn't cheat on the last play. Like, they finally stopped cheating.
They kind of did.
I thought it was a push-off on the offense,
right.
actually.
But everyone's cheating.
No, but I'm with you. Like, I was thinking last night watching that game, and it was a great game. I mean, you had big plays all over the place, but I was thinking, just keep cheating till the refs get tired of throwing the flags and they want to go home. That's it.
My friends and I always talk when we're watching the game, sitting on the couch. Just force the referees to not throw a flag, because the pace of the game.
Put the pressure on the referees to have to make these game-ending decisions. If you're the defense, one of the many things I thought was interesting about last night's game, and thank you, Thursday Night Football, for giving us that game and something to talk about today, is that I thought that Michael Crabtree cheated more on the touchdown that was allowed than he did on the touchdown where he was called for offensive pass interference.
That's funny.
And it was just funny, right? Because once the time is off the clock, Kansas City all over the place is just going to grab guys.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if they get beaten on a play, they are not going to allow someone to have the angle, which means, do you understand how precise Derek Carr and Crabtree had to be on that final play, when it's not just the Chiefs defense in a confined phone booth, it's the Chiefs defense knowing it can cheat on every play.
Yes. Like, you have to be perfect, and they were perfect.
And they were, but they were, because Crabtree cheated. Like, he absolutely pushed off.
100%.
They just didn't call it because they were tired of calling. Like, how do you realize how much pressure that is on the referee? How much pressure it is to call that last play the same way you call the entire game when the other team is trying to cheat. You're asking the referee to keep throwing the flag on what are game-winning touchdowns in a home stadium. Like, it just becomes very hard to officiate that game.
It was an exciting game. I just had a hard time watching that, especially at the end. I mean, the referees, they just have the referees, man, they affect the game. It's way too much,
the
man.
Flags, yeah.
I mean, it's just nonstop.
Yes. No, but
you're blaming them for the players cheating.
No, but not in this case.
No, but Mike, there was a drop pass by Jared Cook. I'm telling you, the game should have been over right there. There was no penalty there. There was nothing egregious. There was nothing done there. It was one of the 4 plays the Raiders had. Jared Cook dropped the ball that was in his hands, and they threw a flag.
Ladies
and he did nothing.
Gentlemen, Stugotz had the Chiefs -3.
I did.
Don Lebatard.
Coughlin goes on to say that he would like to try and help Odell Beckham Jr. It's not your team anymore, Tom.
Stugotz.
All right, seriously. If you're Ben McAdoo, you do not want to hear that. Get your beak out of my business. That old, red, crusty beak. Like, who was Tom Coughlin to come in? I'd like to reach out to Odell Beckham Jr. You had your chance when you were the head coach of the Giants. Now you're not, okay? Move on, Tom. It's Ben's job now. You think Ben McAdoo wants Tom Coughlin's help? Honestly. Do you think he does?
Well, I'm going to let the audience...
He took his job. You think he wants his help now?
Thank you for asking me a question and then just continuing to steamroll.
Sure.
You're always there for me that way.
This is the Don Lebatard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
That is shocking.
Yeah, it is shocking that Clayton Kershaw finally pitched well in a, I guess, fairly sized game. It wasn't a big game, but it was a game to get them to the World Series. I was actually thinking 7-0 into the 3rd inning. They should probably take him out in the event that he's going to blow the lead. Like, I was concerned for the Dodgers, but he got it done. Good for Clayton. Do it in the World Series.
Emilio Estevez is the most profitable actor in Hollywood from 1990 to 2017. Put that on the poll, Guillermo. Do you find that flabbergasting? Guillermo, if you're looking at him right now on ESPNU, is slurping sludge from some sort of vessel while having a cinder block on his lap because he lost at the grid of death. We will all go to the grid of death here later in the show. Method Man going to join us noon Eastern. Guillermo, how did you happen upon the information that Merriam-Webster is two dudes? Like, how did you happen upon that? How did you have your life illuminated?
It's actually three because it's the Webster brothers, or no, the Merriam brothers, and then they bought out Webster's company when he died. How did I? That's a good question.
Well, because when I came in here, you were saying I thought Merriam-Webster was just this woman who knew a lot about words.
Yeah, I mean, I did. I was like, wow, this Miriam is so smart. She knows all the words and what they mean. It's because Allison was talking to me about the color pink, and she's like, do you know what the word pink means? And I'm like, it means a color. Like, that's what it means. And then she was saying, like, no, and then she gives me, like, the definition of pink, and I'm like, this is nonsense. They just, at some point, someone decided to give this word a meaning aside from the color. And then we were talking about colors, and then I was, like, looking up Merriam-Webster, and then, boom, not Miriam. It's actually Merriam, and it's two brothers. And they bought out this poor dead guy Webster's company, and now,
So have you, like, gone sleuthing there to look at whether Webster died broke and whether or not some unfairness had befallen him?
I mean, I was too blown away. I'll do that now, but, yeah.
Okay.
It's not Miriam at all.
Yeah, it is shocking.
Okay, no, I am also surprised by that. How is that poll coming back there? The @LeBatard Show poll on Twitter. Did you know that Merriam-Webster, I guess, was two dudes or not three dudes is what Guillermo is saying.
92% said no.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, I think that, I believe that the lasting legacy of this show will be useless stuff like that. Oh, I didn't know I was pronouncing Dr. Seuss wrong. Like, I believe that what will be our lasting legacy if not that? Because I do believe it's just little things that you're walking around your daily life and there's something in the grocery store that makes you think of us, whether it's a conversation we had about sandwiches or wraps. Like, I do believe that's our imprint. That's our legacy.
I'm totally fine with this being our legacy.
A lot of Frank, a lot of Mac. Mac and Frank. Mac and Frank and Mac. Mac and cheese. Whatever you want to call it. We're going with Frank and Mac. Frank and Mac attack. You guys like it? I like it. I just made it up. Frank and Mac. Not cheese and Mac. We're going Frank and Mac.
Mike Ryan is an excellent rudder for the show, and if you didn't notice what he did there, he's expert at it. He's pushing me off of something. Guillermo started to drown, and we moved away from the conversation. And so Mike...
Well, it wasn't interesting. I mean,
I know, but Mike steers us away, and so that is the equivalent of him trying to tickle me. But while I do like that Chuck Pagano sound, I am not as in love with it as Mike is, because it seems Mike would like this to become a running thread throughout the show, Chuck Pagano saying things, because we do that one all the time, but usually we're doing that one because we all find the sound as funny as each other. I think that sound is funny. I don't think it's as funny as Mike does.
Right. I think Mike was just fishing for anything to get you away from the Webster's conversation.
Get me away from Guillermo?
I mean, just any of it, all of it. I got your back, Mike.
But the way that sometimes Mike being the rudder, if you want to pay attention to the show, sometimes Mike being the rudder on the ship is lost even on me, right? And so I get disoriented. I think I'm the captain and we're sailing along. I've got my knee up and my elbow on my knee as we sail into the great horizon, all of battleships behind us. And then Mike will steer the boat in a direction. I'll be like, well, why are we going over there?
Absolutely. I'm always looking for Jack Doyle.
I'm curious, though, on Andrew Luck. Why is he not playing? And see, that's how it happens. Mike will distract me with something shiny, and then I'll wander over to a pituitary problem. Next thing you know, we will... Like, I'm just a puppet for Mike at this point.
Yep.
Like, he just sort of prods me with noises and sounds, and then I just sort of go in that direction. But why isn't Andrew Luck playing?
He's hurt.
I know, but why is he more hurt than Teddy Bridgewater, who needed an ambulance and people thought he might lose the leg and, he was in the hospital? Why is Teddy Bridgewater back faster than Andrew Luck?
Not a doctor.
Yeah, okay. Good answer.
Don Batard.
Harden got selfish and decided he wanted to go to Houston and be the guy. And I told you when he went there, he's never going to win a championship. He was more concerned, James Harden, about being the best player on a decent team than he was on being the third best player on a legendary team.
Stugotz.
Hey, James Harden. And the beard's enough already. Oh, who is he with a beard? Hey, he's trying to be different. I get it, James Harden. The beard. It's seriously the beard. When I think of James Harden, I won't think of anything other. I won't think of championships. I won't think of winning. I won't think of one of the all-time greats. I'll only think of his ridiculous beard. It's Harden. Him and his beard should be ashamed of themselves.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
You're scared of that read. You're scared of chip shot. You read it like you're reading every time because you're afraid of mispronouncing chip shot.
Royce, it's Monday. Have I nailed that? I'm actually playing a game here with Roy. That's what I'm doing. I'm getting him scared, thinking that I'm not going to be able to do it, and then I do it. Because Monday, I absolutely butchered it. I did.
Yeah, you barely get it right every time.
Yeah.
And it always sounds like he's reading because he's scared of saying chip shot in a way
It's a tough sentence, man.
that produces a curse word.
It is. It's a tough sentence. It is.
Well, if Vin Scully had trouble with it, we'll play it again for the audience because Vin Scully is delightful. And your Friday could use a little more Vin Scully talking because he talks, he weaves tapestries with words. It's just delightful. It feels like Vin Scully is talking to you and squirrels are running into the room, but they're cartoon squirrels. They're not going to bite you. They're totally free of rabies. They're happy squirrels, and sunshine and light is coming into the room. He is. We've decided, right, that Vin Scully is the human being on Earth that looks most like the only human being in a Disney movie about cartoon animals. We've decided that already, right? He opens the window.
That has been decided.
The sun
yes.
pours in, and or was it Colt McCoy? Was Colt McCoy the one that helped get dressed by squirrels?
Really? It was
Cartoon squirrels?
I thought it was Vin.
Regardless, Vin Scully is someone that you want in your life at every turn. He is one of the few people in sports that you will not hear anyone say anything bad about Vin Scully. Even late in his career, we allowed Vin Scully somehow to age gracefully when we don't allow much of anybody to age gracefully. It's why I love how it is that Game Day treats Lee Corso. Let's go ahead and play the sound of even the great wordsmith Vin Scully being scared about some words.
Back about my third year, about 1952, the Dodgers were playing Cincinnati, and Cincinnati had an outfielder named Lloyd Merriman. I'll never forget it. And Lloyd hit a ball foul, and my mind told me to say, hot shot hit foul.
No, Vin.
And it never came out that way. and everybody in the booth fell down, and I was absolutely mortified.
There's something about his delivery. Like, there's something about that guy's being. There are so few people in sports that just hearing him talk soothes you.
Yep.
You know what a gift, man.
I know. Remember when we had him? I mean, we had him on.
Yes,
and it's
we were
the only
smiling
time we
the
had
whole
him on.
time.
But not just us, everyone.
We were just. It is such a gift. May you all have a fraction of the grace in your life that man emanates.
Is there another voice like that?
I mean, the hometown baseball announcer, I think times move too fast now for that kind of person to even be made again.
Right.
Where he's just the soothing voice living in that intimate space in your head, and he's just telling you stories, and it feels like something out of childhood. Like if you had a wonderful childhood, not if you had a bad one, if you had a wonderful childhood. And I don't even know, what does the next Vin Scully look like in the modern age? Because we don't have time for that anymore. We don't have time for baseball, never mind the announcer who's painting pictures on the radio.
Oh, it's Tony Romo.
Yes.
Oh, man.
He was delightful again last night.
Tony,
so
Tony,
good. He's so good. And I'm telling you, man, I mean, the tension with him and Nance, it is real.
Yeah, I'm on Team Tony.
Real tension.
Really? I love him. He's so likable. Excited about everything, but not a put on.
He is Gruden excited about stuff. I'll grant you that his enthusiasm is infectious because he's saying the same thing you are when Khalil Mack is taking the left tackle and throwing him into the quarterback with only his left hand, like on his neck. Like when he sees that play, did you see the play I'm talking about?
Yeah.
How big is the left tackle for the Chiefs? Can someone please? Because what Khalil Mack does to me, I don't understand how a human being can be missed by everybody, go to Buffalo. Didn't he play at the University of Buffalo?
I believe so.
Get missed by anybody, and that's the closest thing I've seen to Lawrence Taylor.
Are we talking about Eric Fisher, by the way?
Yeah, he's
6'7", 315.
Stugotz, that's the closest thing I've seen to Lawrence Taylor.
He's great.
Since Lawrence Taylor is Khalil Mack off the edge, he stuck his left hand out and took that dude and by his neck threw him into the quarterback. And I'm looking at it, and I'm like, and it wasn't his left, well, I guess it was his extended left arm, but it was his left hand seizing the esophagus of a 315-pound man.
I feel like that should be a penalty.
Probably.
Don't ruin this. And I'm watching
about to roadhouse a dude.
I'm watching it, and I'm like, my thought was, and it was a ridiculous thought, is he left-handed? Because how the hell did that strength come from there to push that giant person back by the esophagus? Guillermo, put it on the poll. Is Khalil Mack the closest thing to Lawrence Taylor since Lawrence Taylor?
Romo had a moment last night where Crabtree, I think, was on the sideline. He had blood in his mouth, and Tony's like, look at our game, man. Oh, it's just blood in the mouth. He's going to be right back in. He'll be in a second. And Romo's talking about how physical the game is. And Nance says, you're starting to like the view from up here. And Romo responds, Mondays are certainly easier.
I love that Tony Romo seems to love that every bit as much as we do.
Yes.
That he's watching Khalil Mack do that, and he's every bit as amazed by it as we are.
What I love about, you're right, because I've been looking for a guy who will say some of the things that I'm thinking at home watching on the couch. So when everyone thought that Marshawn Lynch, who got kicked out of the game, when they thought he left the stadium, now, it ended up that he didn't leave the stadium. He just went in the stands, which is such a cool thing for Marshawn Lynch to do. But I was mad at Marshawn Lynch, not because he went on the field and defended his teammates, because he left the actual stadium. At the time, that's what we thought. And Tony Romo was unafraid. He ripped into him. Like, hey, Marshawn, you got to stay here. What are you doing? Watch the game in the locker room. Support your teammates. You got kicked out. Stay here. It was good.
Well, I thought all that stuff with Marshawn Lynch was interesting because apparently he's very close friends with Peters, and he was going out there to defend him as much as he was his teammate.
I've seen on Twitter that they're cousins.
That was interesting. I thought all of that was interesting, that Marshawn Lynch is put in the position where everyone's got so much respect for him that it's not a problem that Marshawn Lynch is sitting there trying to keep the chief guy away from his teammates. You know what I mean? Like that's an unusual look. I'm not sure there are a lot of people in that league who have the respect to pull exactly that off.
Right, and just apologies, correcting myself here. There was Tyreek Hill, not Michael Crabtree, who was out on the sidelines with a bloody mouth.
Yeah, he was seemingly defending his cousin Marcus Peters. Yeah. And by the way, there's funny video of them riding public transport after the game, Peters and Marshawn Lynch, and Lynch leading a crowd of middle fingers saying, bleep the Chiefs.
Have you guys ever seen that before, though? Have you seen a guy come out and he's defending the guy on the other team instead of his teammates? Like, when have we seen exactly that before, where you're confused about what it is that's happening because you're like, why is Marshawn Lynch defending the guy on the other team? A guy writes in here via tweet, or it might be a woman, it's not a big game, but it got the Dodgers to the World Series. Stugotz is a moron.
You don't get the show.
That's Stugotz, man.
I mean, come on.
Stugotz, it's not a big game unless I say it's a big game. Why would you possibly get mad at that?
No.
Why is that something that would make you furious and make you type a tweet up and send it into the universe?
I mean, Kershaw would laugh at that.
I mean, yes. Well, no, not actually, no.
A Zebra steel pen feels good the second you pick it up. These are tough pens that combine style, strength, and value. So, as you battle your way through the day, arm yourself with a tough Zebra steel pen. Now you've found Zen in your pen, and it's tough as steel.
Tim Kurkjian with us as he is every week at about this time, and we are delighted to have him, as we always are, because he's a lot of fun. He makes the show better and more fun. We give him to you on Friday because he sends you into the weekend feeling good about yourself. I'm curious, Tim, if you want to continue with what it is we were talking about. We were talking about Vin Scully and the idea of his voice still being soothing, him being allowed to age gracefully. In the modern age, what is the next thing that becomes like Vin Scully? Can there be such a thing, or are we moving too fast for a Vin Scully to ever be around again?
I think we're moving way too fast, Dan, and I think social media has changed everything to the point where even Vin at his very best, if he'd started out at his very best, people would still find something about him that they don't like, and that's really unfortunate. But he aged so gracefully. He was so great all the way to the end. I remember one of the last games he did, he was talking about a guy who played for the Diamondbacks named Socrates Brito. And during the at-bat for Socrates Brito, Vin Scully told us who the real Socrates was and told these amazing stories about Socrates. And, of course, when Vin tells a really long story like that, it's never a one-pitch at-bat. It's always like a 14-pitch, 7-minute at-bat, and that's what happens when you're a great broadcaster. but there'll never be anyone like him. And sadly, with social media today, I don't think no one will ever be allowed to be that good for that long.
Now, Tim's going to get mad here and disagree, and I understand why. But, Tim, I think you're that guy. You're a great storyteller. Yeah. No, I'm serious. You have a great voice. You're lovable. No one dislikes Tim Kurkjian, not a single person.
All of that is true, but we can both agree, me and Tim can, that he is not Vin Scully. Oh. And all of what you just said is also true.
Yeah. Well, I'm not saying he is Vin Scully. I'm saying he has similar qualities to Vin Scully.
Very likable and a great storyteller. Yep. Sid, you're on with Tim Kurkjian. Go ahead.
Tom, if you had to replace your hands with objects already in your house, what would you replace your hands with?
Excellent question.
Great question.
All right, so objects already in your house, you have to replace your hands with some objects found in your house. What are you going with?
Oh, God, my hands are the only thing that I've ever had that are any good. I have really big hands, as I've told you, for a little guy, and the only thing that work on my body are my hands and my feet. So I'm going to say that I'm going to use some sort of dexterous, like spade or something that I can pick things up with and boost up. Yeah, as opposed to some sort of hammer. I just need to make sure I can gather something in my hands, because that's the most important job of your hands, is to be dexterous with them and be able to move things in and out.
Does it have to be two of the same item, or can they be different items?
Well, why? What are you doing?
Well, because then you could do kind of like a shovel on one hand and maybe like a fork type thing on the other.
I like that.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. See, that's even better.
Some flexibility to do some different things.
It can be versatile. Mm-hmm. It's an excellent question. We'll get back to it later in the show. Kyle, you're on with Tim Kurkjian. Go ahead, Kyle.
Hey, Tom, I want to know if in order to keep your job, every time you had to use the restroom, you had to do it in front of a crowd of people or lose your job. Would you do it, or would you give up baseball?
Oh, I would give up baseball in a heartbeat, because I am not doing that. I am the worst of all time about going to the bathroom around people. And I'll drive 10 miles back to my hotel before I'll do anything in front of a lot of people.
Are you bladder shy?
I'm not bladder shy. I'm the other way.
It's the other one. All right, it's the other one.
I'm not going there. I'm just not going there around people. Period.
Okay. No, right. Yeah, that's very intimate. But he's
you got to go. You got to go, though.
I know, but he's saying a stall, right? He's not saying you're just sitting on a toilet in a stadium full of people, correct? He's saying that a stall. You're saying, Tim, you won't use a public bathroom?
I just don't like it, and if I can avoid it, I will.
Okay, but you'd rather give up baseball. I want to be clear on this. You hate going number 2 anywhere other than your home or the hotel so much that you.
No, he made it sound like I'm doing it in front of people.
They're watching
single day.
Okay,
yeah,
is that what he means?
One's gonna. If that's what he means, I'm giving up baseball. If it means a stall, I'm not giving up baseball.
All right. And. All right, this begs the follow-up question, and I'm sorry for wasting your time. It's a very important time in baseball, but stander or sitter on the wiping?
Sit.
I mean, I'm not giving this up, man. I'm pooping right in front of people.
No, I know. You don't have any shame about anything. But I think a lot of people right now are shocked. Tim, the reason I ask you that question is because a lot of people are shocked right now to learn, as they're driving around or listening, wherever it is that they're listening, they're shocked to learn that there is such a thing as a standing wiper. Are you shocked to learn that there is such a thing as a standing wiper?
I'm not shocked to learn that. I'm sure people do that. I'm just not one of them.
No, but how about if I told you half the people do it? Because I didn't get to my 40s. I did not get to my 40s that I learned that people judged me as a weirdo because I was a standing wiper.
I would say a half is too high. I don't think half the people do that.
Okay. Is it too high? Put it on the poll, Guillermo, please. And let's get back to baseball questions, although you don't have to do that if you don't want to. Courtney, you're on with Tim Kurkjian. Go ahead.
Yeah, I've been hearing for a while that relievers are better than they've ever been. So how come in the ALDS or in the NLDS, so many pitchers were coming in on short rest or out of the bullpen, not trusting their starters?
Well, that's a great question. It's two-part, though. Relievers are used, and they're better than they've ever been because we condition them to. We make them relievers in the minor leagues, and when they get to the big leagues, they're ready to do that. But a lot of managers in October, as we've seen every day in October, lose faith in some relievers and feel better putting a starter in. for the most part, I'm not sure that works. I think sometimes the reliever that has pitched in that situation all year is a better choice than a starter who has never pitched in that situation for the season.
I had a conversation with a 49-year-old man this morning who was stunned to discover this morning that there is such a thing as a standing wiper.
Not letting that go,
This morning.
Why were you having that conversation?
Because it came up. I'll explain to you later. Let's get to more show here.
I mean, you brought it up, man.
I know, but just as an aside.
Right.
Just as an aside.
Timmy, do you feel like, because I do, Tim, so do you feel like maybe managers are getting a little carried away with all the relief pitching? It seems like they have a pitcher for every situation. And what I mean by that is Lance McCullers, who was up and down, but when he's right, he's really good. He was going fine the other night. He gave up a solo shot to Aaron Judge. They took him out, and then the bullpen blew it for the Astros. Don't you think the manager, Timmy, maybe just overthinking this a little bit? Let a starter go for a while.
Well, I'm in complete agreement on that, Stugotz. However, with Lance McCullers, he hadn't won a game since June the 24th. He's been hurt most of the second half of the season. He had a tired arm in September. And with all of our new metrics, there are all sorts of numbers that suggest you can't pitch this guy past 70 pitches. You can't let that guy face a lineup the third time around. The numbers are there for a lot of these managers, and they have them at their disposal every day, and that's what they fall back on is, here are the numbers. He can't get through the seventh inning, so I'm going to get him out before that.
Are the numbers the same on Sabathia? Because I've found it weird that he comes out for 5 innings and no one can hit him, but if he gets to the second or the third time in the lineup, they need to yank him out of there.
Well, that's certainly a possibility, and that seems to have been the way it's worked in this postseason. But he's also 37 years old, and he's not working with anything close to the great stuff that he used to have. And if he can give you 5 with that Yankee bullpen, that's all you need. And that's part of the equation now, is these Yankee pitchers are just going out there saying, I'm going to throw as hard as I can for 5 innings, and then we're going to bring in this army of relievers, all of whom throw 95 miles an hour.
Tim, I know what Major League Baseball wants. I know what TV executives want, what radio executives want. They want Yankees-Dodgers. What's the best matchup, though? Or the better matchup?
Well, at the moment, it's Yankees-Dodgers because even though I picked the Astros to win this series, and they still very well might, and they are so much fun to watch, what's going on in New York right now is really, potentially really special here, that a team that wasn't even supposed to make the playoffs might be going to the World Series and facing a team that they've faced in the World Series 11 different times. The whole Judge, Sanchez situation is so fascinating to watch those guys play and the way they swing the bat. I think the better one would be the Yankees and the Dodgers.
Does Trey Wingo sound like a 3-count chicken wing appetizer dish at a Mexican restaurant run by white people? Does Linda Cohn look like the chaperone at a high school dance who sees a couple dancing too close, so she puts a balloon between the couple and says, "Don't forget to leave room for Jesus"? Does John Gruden look like the guy sitting next to you at the Benihana who elbows your side and with wide eyes says it's showtime when the cook starts to light the onion volcano? Does Adam Silver look like the nurse at an old folks' home? Does Bob Costas look like a youth basketball ref who shoots threes during the timeouts as he peeks around to see if the moms are watching when he finally hits one? Grayson Allen looked like the teenage villain in a 1980s high school romantic comedy that trips an underclassman walking through the high school cafeteria, stands over him and says, "Watch where you're going, geek." Does Chuck Pagano look like the animated logo on the van of a plumbing company?
Hold that thought. Let's sell some ads.
Right,
yeah, there's more. There's more.
Oh,
I tried to end musically with Kurkjian on an like one of those screams where you made him laugh so much that he screams.
Don Le Batard.
They've been around since 1896.
Oh, get out your wallet.
That's why I was getting the money ready.
Stugotz.
I don't think Stugotz should be fined for that.
Great, money back in the pocket.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Look, there are some things that I do here as Brother Teresa in the name of altruism, taking the arrows for others, taking the arrows to give the courage to others to stand, literally. I am getting inundated with text messages like this. I stand! Exclamation points. I'm so glad to hear another person I know is also a standing wiper. My wife thinks I'm the only person in the world. I want to give standing wipers, I want to give you an ability to live free in the world, free of judgment. Now, I can't vouch for these sitting wipers who, I got to be careful with the phrasing on all of this. Hot shot, hit foul, chip shot, sitting wipers. Sitting wipers. You guys are judgers, man. The standing wipers don't judge you. Why do you rain down judgment on the standing wipers? The standing wipers don't judge the sitting wipers.
I stand with you. I mean, I've stood my entire life. I think
I stand with you.
I do. I stand with you.
I now we're creating an unpleasant visual image of you and I standing together, locked arms, like Tom Brady on the sidelines. All right, stand with me here, united in this. Go ahead. Because I think people now are getting a visual image that has to be disgusting.
Yes.
But beyond that, though, I do feel like there are a lot of people right now hearing me right now that are considering all of this for the very first time in their life. It's not something they've ever thought about. In fact, when I discovered it a few years ago, I did not know that I was a weirdo. I had no idea that I was a weirdo. I thought the only part that was weird is that I was learning in my 40s, and I couldn't place, well, how did I learn this? Where did I learn this? And then the first thought I have is, my dad must also be a standing wiper. Somebody must have taught him. This must have been hand-me-down.
Are you saying this is a learned behavior?
Of course it is. Is it not?
Oh, for me, it was just easier.
When you get on...
But Stugotz, you didn't decide on an easier path at 2 years old.
But as I grew a little bit older, I'm telling you.
So you evolved into a stander?
I started as a sitter, which is the way my dad taught me. But for me, just the way my body is and my hands and these sausage fingers, it was just tough to really. It became difficult.
Right.
So I decided to stand.
Right. Oddly enough,
and I thought I was alone too. But I stand with you.
Okay. We really do need.
But
to
you
make
just stand to wipe, right? You're not a hoverer by any stretch of the
only
imagination.
in a public bathroom. That's it.
Okay.
I'll hover in a public bathroom.
But hold on a second. I want again, Mike, just because we've done this particular topic and this particular show a couple of times, even with Butt Grant, we've had this conversation before, even though we've done that. I'm telling you that there are people listening all over right now who are considering this for the very first time. And there is healing in that, and there is relief in that, to go deep into your soul with introspection. But let's go back to this horrifying moment. And here Stugotz also stood tall, where we were interviewing Bud Grant, who, of course, was doing his annual garage sale. He is a grumpy old Vikings coach. He goes out to Vikings games, and he does the coin toss like in short sleeves, as everybody is below 30. He's a grumpy old man. He hates taking our calls because he's very busy during his garage sale. And so one day we were calling him during the garage sale, and we were talking about this very subject. And as I recall this, Stugotz was a hero during this interview. Let's go ahead and play that. Just an awkward, indelicate question here that we've been talking about all day, and I understand it's probably not appropriate, but I am curious, and we've been doing it with all our guests here. When going to the bathroom, Bud Grant, and finishing with his bathroom experience, the wiping experience, sitting or standing? You can hear how nervous I am.
Repeat that. I didn't get the gist of that.
Can you repeat that?
You want me to try?
Yeah, you try.
Okay. Bud, when after you have dinner tonight and you celebrate the garage sale, when you go to the bathroom, afterwards, not one but two, Bud, will you sit or stand when you wipe?
Well, that depends on the consistency of what I'm doing.
That's a great answer. Thank you, Bud.
Dan Le Batard.
Let me go around the shipping container filled with frightened refugees. What do you imagine Pitbull smells like? The bidding starts with Fats and Info.
I think he smells like my dad's cologne.
Guillermo, what do you imagine Pitbull smells like?
A combination of sweat and like agua de violeta.
Oh, nice.
Stugotz.
Roy, what do you got there?
Drakkar Noir.
Mike, what about you? What would be your guess on what Pitbull smells like?
Fireball.
Thank you.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
We're going to go to the bucket of death right here in a second. The Grim Reaper is ready. Put it on the poll, Guillermo, please. Is I Stand with Stu and Dan a movement you can get behind? I like the phrasing of that. I'm thinking of organizing a campaign. Many of the standing wipers are now writing in, and they are judging the holy hell out of the sitting wipers. They don't even understand. Apparently, what I've triggered here is I've reached the standing wipers, and they are now learning that there are sitting wipers. And so this is unbelievable what's happening on the text. They're like, what do you mean? I don't even understand how you do that. So let's go ahead and do the bucket of death. But just right before we do this, I loved two things from sports last night. I really did. There were two things last night that I thought were really they're just fun to watch. One, Patrick Beverley just getting after Lonzo Ball rabidly, because Patrick Beverley he's just a junkyard dog. He's just all about defense.
Well, I was going to say, he's a really good defender, and that's a tough assignment for Lonzo Ball in his first game.
So hard to come out of the box, to go from college, and you're green, and that's what's guarding you.
Depending on where you stand with the Ball family, Patrick Beverley is either the best possible matchup for his first professional game or the worst possible matchup.
I mean, he just ate him up, and it's just I loved watching it. I'm with the Ball family. But I loved watching it because it was just such a hazing. It reminded me of Jeremy Lin coming in here when the big three made him forget how to dribble when he was at the height of Linsanity.
Yes.
And it's like, oh no, you got some growing up to do yet. Like it was a boy entering a man's world, right? Or a young man entering a not young man's world. And so I love that. And I also loved Alex Smith's throwing the ball down the field, man.
It's amazing.
And one of them probably should have been an interception, but that makes them more fun. It makes them a lot more fun. He still takes too many sacks, but he's got guys. I loved one of, was it Hill or Hunt that he threw the ball to, and he's just so much faster than everyone else. And he had a big lead on him, and then he just puts up the deuces before he gets even to the end zone. He's just faster than everybody.
I think it was Tyreek Hill. He had one to Albert Wilson as well. Who's very fast.
Wilson was the one that was almost intercepted.
They just have better skill position players. That's why you're seeing a different Alex Smith. I mean, Kareem Hunt and Tyreek Hill and all these guys, that's what it does, right, for Alex Smith?
I mean, it does help.
He looks like a real quarterback.
It does. It does help. All right, let's go ahead and do this. If you're not familiar with what this is, the Grim Reaper visits us every Friday. My Friday feels so much more relieved because I got the golden helmet of life, and I don't have to worry about any of this stuff. I feel a palpable sense of relief on me.
Is this your second week here?
So this is his second week of safety, one more week of safety before he has to go back to the bucket.
All right, so if you're not familiar with what we do, the Grim Reaper has a bucket, and in that bucket are a bunch of different helmets of football teams and also, more often, helmets with writing on them, and Mike is the only one around here who knows the rules on what's been written. So everyone picks from the bucket, and that's your team for the week, unless you throw it back, and then the second decision is final. So, Chris Cody, you go first. You are 3-2 on the season so far, and you are rummaging around, and let's see what it is that you have found in the bucket.
I got Syracuse, Miami.
Ooh, that's a good helmet. Now, you can pick a winner from that game. You can pick either Syracuse or Miami. Miami's a 17-point favorite. Some would argue that's a very good helmet to draw.
Going with the Canes.
Yeah, 17-point favorite. That's a big line. Go ahead, Guillermo. You now select from the bucket. We got too many words around here that rhyme with things like bucket, and I've got to be really careful. I'm surprised that I don't slip on this stuff more often.
Mm-hmm. I got the Jets. I'm putting them back.
Okay.
Yeah, they're playing the Dolphins.
Yeah, wow. Not bad.
They're a 3-2 team. They're a 3-point dog.
And they destroyed the Dolphins the last time they played.
I got the Jaguars.
The Jaguars.
They're at the Colts. They're a favorite.
Yeah. 3-point favorite. I think you upgraded.
It's like kind of the same thing.
Upgraded.
I mean, there's nothing. Mike, I had the Falcons last week. I lost.
That's a 6-point swing.
He's a 3-point favorite. He's a 3-point dog. But okay, everything in there is the same.
That's what I'm saying.
All right, everything's in there. In fact, you can't do a lot better than pulling the Miami helmet, a 17-point favorite.
I had the biggest favorite on the board last week, the Falcons, and I lost.
And you lost. Yes. Go ahead, Roy. What are you selecting, sir?
She almost punched me in the face with the helmet.
Yeah, he or she. It's genderless.
I have the Eagles.
That's Monday Night Football right there. They're playing Washington.
Ooh.
You don't want to wait till
Are they at Washington, though?
I can't wait till Monday. I'll throw anything back if it's Monday night, man.
Really?
I can't
You
wait.
will?
I need to know my fate.
Eagles are a 4.5-point favorite at home. Eagles are a 4.5-point favorite
That's a
at
good
home.
helmet, I think.
All right, I'll keep it.
I really feel like Mike peer pressures you.
Yeah. Well, I would keep. Well, I was
Yeah,
just
it's
saying. I'd
good.
keep that helmet.
Look, man, there's nothing good in there.
It's not good enough.
Getting any of the teams doesn't make you feel safe. I think somebody's lost with the Patriots this year is a giant favorite, and somebody's lost with the Falcons this year is a giant favorite.
Actually, two of us
a
lost.
2-touchdown favorite.
I got the Indianapolis Colts. I'm going to be putting that back.
All right, so,
I don't want to go against the Jags.
The biggest favorite's like 5 points this week.
Just crud in that bucket, man.
Ooh, $10. Hang around, because I got to draw again. But everybody owes me $10.
All right.
$10. Draw again.
Did everyone pay Sarah? 'Cause
I'm
I
on
didn't. I don't think anyone
Venmo.
else
That's
did.
her fault for not being on Venmo.
You
I'll
know
get her back.
Stugotz.
I actually paid her
You
right
did?
there. Yeah, I did. Paid her right there.
Oh, are you kidding me? It's a Colts again.
But you got $10. You got $10. But it was a good throwback, Mike.
That's weird.
You got the same helmet and you got $10 from everyone.
That's the first time that's happened.
That is the first time that's happened. That stinks.
You spot me $10 there?
No. So here is a Stugotz. He likes to rummage around.
I like to rummage around in the bucket for a minute. Just for a minute. Yes, for a minute. Really like to get in there. All right, here we go. I got a helmet there. I have a helmet. It's in my hands. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. I have the Kansas City Chiefs.
That's a loss if you keep it.
A referee call away.
Be a
from taking this
man.
helmet.
Be a man. Take it.
Get out of here. All right, I'm putting it back. I'm rummaging again. We're rummaging.
Chiefs again. Pick the Chiefs again. An instant death. Instant
Will you
death.
stay here, Reaper? All right, I got a helmet. Oh, yeah.
He loves knowing before we do what his helmet is. He just any power and control he can have. What do you have?
I got the Patriots. They're at home with the Falcons, man. I don't like this.
Super Bowl rematch, Sunday Night Football.
I mean, I don't like it at all.
So great that everything is so cruddy in that bucket that you
I have Tom Brady. I'm
you
upset.
got the Patriots at home.
I lost with the Patriots at home already.
I know, but is there a surer thing in the sport the last 15 years than the Patriots at home? And you're sitting here like, I know, you're right. I understand why you fear it. It's a testament to the league and just how weird everything is. But think about what it is that you're lamenting. The most invincible dynasty of our lifetime in the most unbeatable place we've ever seen.
I'm open to a trade if you want the Colts.
How about the $10 and the Colts?
Ooh.
I get 10.
Stay tuned.
I get 10 from everyone.
You get my 10s.
I get all your 10s, and I get that Colts helmet.
We'll talk.
Okay.
No. Decide now. This is.
Why do we have to decide now? We have till the end of the show, don't we?
Because we're doing a radio show, not playing a personal game that's only about your decisions.
It's a tease. Tease it. Teasing it.
Find out next.
Dan Le Batard.
La 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 la. La 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 la.
Stugotz.
Hey. Goodbye.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
You can get us in more places than ever, and one of them is SiriusXM Channel 80. If you have SiriusXM, make sure to check us out there. No trade during the break. Stugotz, it tells you a lot about today's NFL.
Amazing.
That it feels kind of the same. The Colts at home with Jacoby Brissett feels kind of the same as the Patriots at home, the dynasty of our lifetime.
Right. Well, because the Patriots are playing the Falcons this weekend. Mike gave me a 1-minute window where he offered me the deal. It was $40 and the Colts helmet in exchange for my Patriot helmet. I did not answer him in time, and then he took it back, which is a smart move by Mike.
Well, there is a difference.
COB? He COB'd you?
Yeah.
Well, there is a difference between Jacoby and Brissett and Tom Brady. It's not as large as the difference between $0 and $40 to $50, so I chose that.
It's just a weird thing, though, in that league where it's not just that the Colts of Jacoby Brissett is what is tempting you over Patriots at home.
Right.
It's the Jags. It's Colts at home against the Jags, and you still don't have any damn idea.
Nope.
If the Patriots are the team of our lifetime, the Jags are kind of the opposite of that. Well, the Browns, I guess, are the opposite of that.
Yes, the Browns are.
The Browns are opposite of that. Well, whose record is worse the last 10 years, Browns or Jags? Like, if you had to guess, I haven't looked at it.
Last 10 years, I think the Browns had one 10-win season in the last 10 years, but they had one win last year.
If you had to guess, you got to do this off your top of your head, and I ask you, who's had more losses the last 10 years? And Fats and Info will look this up. Who's had more losses the last 10 years, the Jags or the Browns? What do you think the answer to that is?
I'd guess the Browns.
I'd guess the Browns, too.
Yeah. But are you saying of our lifetime or the last decade?
Well, no, because the
Browns were good when we were growing up.
The Jags were good.
The Jags made an AFC championship game with Mark Brunell and Tom Coughlin.
They did all right with Jack Del Rio.
Yeah.
The Jags were, but no, I feel like Gus Bradley might have had the most forgettable coaching reign in the history of that league, where he's just presiding over a team and he's not fired. And it's 3 or 4 years of just dreck, unrelenting dreck. But the NFL, man, what a blessing! You realize that all of these guys. One of the things that happens with ownership money or a position like Roger Goodell's, all of these guys get merit on behalf of where it is the league has arrived, and I'm not sure that they have much of anything to do with it. Like, all of these guys get merit as being smart businessmen.
Sure.
And Goodell, what has been proven again and again on Goodell is he's not inspiring a whole lot of confidence that he's handling all of these issues with maximum intellectual dexterity.
Right.
I'm not saying he's...
Whatever that means.
I'm not saying he's dumb. I'm just saying he doesn't give off. Man, the way that this is being handled is probably the smartest or most pioneering way to handle X, Y, or Z.
Correct.
But
they get a lot of credit for it.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
He
gets credit for the TV deals. I mean, all this stuff did happen under his watch.
I understand, but the economy's real good right now.
Yes.
In our country.
Mm-hmm.
And the president is taking credit for that.
Correct.
And so what I'm saying to you is football's kind of like that. Football. There are a lot of Trumps running football, and they continue to cash money.
Yes. But if you stumble into things that are working out your way, then you take credit for them. If you could stumble into credit, you take that credit.
But one of the things I'm telling you about that league is that because the conversation we're having as it relates to the Colts and the Patriots and that everyone in this league, look, there are this week, of course, Oakland beats Kansas City last night, even though Kansas City has looked like the most solid team in the league, and Oakland looks less than that.
Not including this season. The last 10 seasons, the Jaguars have had 107 losses. The Browns have had 112 losses.
Okay.
But if you include this season, it's far worse. far worse.
It's just, I'm looking at these lines here, and the biggest favorite in the sport this weekend is the Cowboys on the road against San Francisco. The Cowboys are getting 6 points, and none of you are convinced the Cowboys are going to win that game.
No.
And it's just, that is the magic. That is what has made these people this rich, is what I'm telling you. That's the magic. Baseball's random, but it's random for 162 games. It's random. This is a tenth of that.
This is the craziest I've ever seen it, where you have a weekend like this where the biggest spread is 6.5. Then every team feels like it's 3-2, 2-3, 3-3.
I feel like
there's usually a dominant team. Falcons, Patriots last year. There's usually
no, but the Vikings were the 5-0 team last year, and then they were the last one, and then they were gone, and the Vikings didn't even make the playoffs.
Right. Well,
I feel like we've been in this space for a while, where no favorite is actually a favorite, and there's exactly nothing surprising about last night's result, which is the Kansas City Chiefs, the last unbeaten for 5 weeks. The only team that made it to week 5 unbeaten now has a 2-game losing streak because football. What I'm saying is the magic to their formula is all these guys are getting money and credit for stuff, and the magic to their formula is that.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's not their acumen. These guys didn't build this. They're just cashing in.
Right.
They are not the pioneers. They are not the businessmen that are the savviest, but we give them all sorts of credit for that just because they're owners. Hell, man, Dominique Foxworth came in here. The first time I talked to Dominique for the first time on television. He did an interview with us on Highly Questionable. And Dominique Foxworth, who's a co-host of ours, he and a friend, he is a former NFL player who has, ran the players' union for the NFL and also was a high-ranking officer in the union for the NBA. And he told us when we asked him, he said he realized in a meeting as a player, sitting across from Jerry Jones in a meeting room where they're collectively bargaining, he's looking at him and he's saying, this person is not smarter than I am.
That's crazy.
Like, I'm a little
There's not
raw.
many people smarter than Dominique.
I know, but I'm a little raw. But no, but he doesn't have a lot of ego about his intellect. That was not Dominique that was not Dominique saluting Dominique's intelligence.
Right.
That was Dominique looking across the room, going in with all of those biases that we give rich people who are in power, where we say, you must be good at business. You must be really smart. Sitting across from him and saying, wait a minute, you're no genius. You just bought the Cowboys cheap, ran Landry out of town in a way that Trump is now running this country, like ham-handedly and just sort of doing that stuff. And then you end up at the end of that, and Jerry Jones, what's the profit he's made on the Dallas Cowboys? And people, and he's the most powerful guy in the NFL. And Dominique's sitting across from him, and he's like, "You're not brilliant. You're just a dude that sits atop this thing." And I just think we give credit all the time. I don't know what he bought the manager, what he bought the Cowboys for.
He purchased the Cowboys for $140 million.
And now they're the most valuable franchise in sports?
They're worth about $4 billion right now.
Are they the most valuable franchise in sports?
Well, not in sports.
When the Yankees or something like that.
Don't be so American-centric. There's Real Madrid and Barcelona, too.
There you go. Yeah. Wow, that was delivered.
Who were they?
Excellent soccer elitist style. You even changed your posture. If I showed you right now a video of what you just did, you would be embarrassed by what just came out of you.
That's fair.
I was proud of you.
I didn't like it coming out of me.
It came with an elitist film.
A Zebra steel pen feels good the second you pick it up. These are tough pens that combine style, strength, and value. So, as you battle your way through the day, arm yourself with a tough Zebra steel pen. Now you've found Zen in your pen, and it's tough as steel.
Don Batard.
You are the best, and when I say the best, I mean the very worst and most evil.
Stugotz.
The worst.
But this time, it's for real.
Worst.
This is the Don Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
We've got a celebrity prognosticator coming up here. We need a new one because Richard Lewis lost last week, and he was 2-3. Colin Cowherd was 3-2, and so far this season, Colin Cowherd is 15-10, and our random celebrities, each worse than the last, are 13-13. So we're 2.5 games back.
Every year there is a celebrity that goes on a crazy run, and I feel like Method Man is our guy.
All right, I believe in him as well. Thank you for listening to us. Hartford 97.9 FM as well as ESPN 101.7. The team in Albuquerque. Method Man joins us. He is very versatile. The Deuce. This has been something that has been a show. Just Deuce, not The Deuce, right? It's just Deuce. Or is it The Deuce?
Yeah, it's The Deuce.
All right. He's a pimp in it. Now, and thank you for joining us as always. Appreciate your time. But he's coming back now with Wu-Tang. When's that happening? Like, that's, how excited are people about that?
Well, I mean, the album dropped last week. It's called Wu-Tang, The Saga Continues. Pretty good album. As far as getting back with Wu-Tang, never left.
Right.
It's funny how people say that, though.
Yeah, that's my bad. Fair enough. Do you have any good Wu Mansion stories for us? Because I'm here for those.
Wu Mansion stories? Nah, I didn't stay in the mansion, man. I was closer to home. I couldn't take it.
Well, okay, explain to us why.
I couldn't take it.
Explain to why. I want to understand why you needed to stay away from the Wu Mansion.
For obvious reasons, because it was tucked away in the corner somewhere, way out of civilization, first off. And never anything to eat in there. He had to drive 6 miles to get to a supermarket, and it was boring.
What?
I hated it there.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, what?
Boring? Wait a minute. Didn't RZA tell us that it was crazy? That it was just women being bussed in all the time?
Oh, he's talking about the Cali Wu Mansion.
Wait a minute, Method. Wait a minute. Wait. What just happened?
What happened?
What just happened? How many
Explain.
mansions did you guys have?
Well, the one in New York, the one in Jersey, that was actually ours. The one in Cali that they did the diary for, I didn't participate because that wasn't our house. That was a rental.
Okay. But I love that you had to make the clarification when I said women being busted. Oh, you meant the Cali mansion. What?
Yeah.
What was that?
Porno movies in there, that's why.
Well, now, is that what brings you to this particular project, The Deuce, Sunday nights on HBO?
I like the way you tried to make that correlation, but no.
I'm trying to help you sell your show. I transitioned into the pimp.
It was pretty good, man.
You're playing the pimp on The Deuce, and that wasn't the role you auditioned for, right?
Oh, well, I actually did audition for pimp, but just not the pimp I played. I actually auditioned for 2 pimp roles and didn't get either one. And, then Rodney was born.
And how is this as a creative project for you? Because you're super versatile. So where does this rank in terms of the fun you've had creating? Because you've also got Drop the Mic premiering October 24th, 10:30 p.m. on TBS.
Yeah, I do. Well, it's right up there. It's one of my top things right now. Because anything David Simon, Nina K. Noble, or even George Pelicano's touches, it's usually great. And I'm just happy to be a part of greatness this time around. And as far as Drop the Mic, that's James Corden's baby from the Late Late Show. These guys are putting a lot of time and effort behind it, and I'm just a glorious backdrop for their greatness. See how I did that?
Yes, and very impressed with yourself, and we're impressed with you as well, as we should be. 2 Woo mansions. Method Man is...
Well, speaking of mansions, it's interesting because I maintain that growing up watching TV, the greatest TV mansion was Silver Spoons and Ricky Schroeder. You wanted to be Ricky Schroeder growing up?
Yep, I wanted that room. I wanted the car bed. I wanted the games, especially the train. I wanted that train, man. They could have kept Alfonso Ribeiro. I didn't need that best friend. I thought that the character that Jason Bateman played was better.
So hold on a second. Wait a minute. Explain this to me, that you loved Silver Spoons growing up and your dream was to become Ricky Schroeder?
I wanted to be Ricky Schroeder, yes. He had everything. What kid wouldn't want to live in that house? And people that aren't from my age bracket or my generation don't know what I'm talking about, Google it, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Ricky Schroeder, yes, sir.
Are you agreeing with Stugotz that it's the greatest mansion in the history of television mansions?
No, the Addams Family's mansion.
Oh, look at that. Look at that. All right, so if Method Man goes in with the Addams Family and Stugotz goes in, put it on the poll, Guillermo, and Stugotz goes all in with Ricky Schroeder's mansion, who's got the better television mansion, Addams Family or Ricky Schroeder? I think you might lose this one, Meth.
Yeah, I'm going with Addams Family because you never know what you're going to get in there, boy.
Give us an old dirty bastard story. I want more of those.
Oh, old dirty. Let me see here. Oh, wow. Where do I start? I remember sitting on the plane next to him. We were going to Japan. We're talking 12-hour flight, I believe. And the whole time I had to listen to him talk about how the government was out to get him and the feds wanted to kill him and how everybody loved dirty. Now, I'm like, okay, if the feds is out to get you and the government want to kill you, but everybody loves dirty, I don't get it. That's just a short story about old dirty bastard. That's the best I can come up with at this hour.
Did you guys have much tension, or do you guys have much tension in the group?
Nah, it's the usual stuff where it's like a show comes up, who's showing up, who's going to be there, and the guys that don't show up, of course we talk about them. That's what you're supposed to do. But it's never it's like being around your brothers and stuff like that. It's like I can say whatever I want to say about RZA, but if somebody else does, I'll tear their head off.
How do you feel about the music you guys are making now?
I think we're sort of like a renaissance for us right now with the new album. Alon Math produced it. He's been my DJ for like ever. He's also the creator of the Wu-Tang W. I think we're in a good place as far as our fans go. As far as mainstream hip hop and mainstream rap, there's no place for Wu-Tang right now. Those kids are doing that thing, and I applaud them.
How do you feel about it? Because I've heard Snoop and some others, they don't like the mumble rap, they don't like Migos, but you're someone who tends to spread positivity. So, you feel today's rap. Well, how do you feel about it?
Well, honestly, from an MC standpoint, of course, you're going to find people lacking. There's a lot of lacking going on. But as far as the movement, they are pushing hip-hop to places that we never dreamed of, and the music is reflecting that. So I applaud these young shorties, man. We had fun when we did it. Let them little dudes have fun, man.
Who would you say is the best lyricist that you've ever seen? Does Kendrick approach that?
Kendrick is dope. I wouldn't put him as best. If you're talking about right now or since my career's been started, I'd say consistently is Redman. Period. Right now, I would say it's a toss-up between Vince Staples and maybe a Kendrick, yeah.
Well, but how do you feel about Staples saying that he didn't like Eminem's rap, his freestyle?
Honestly, I love the message Eminem put across. But the bars weren't. I hold Eminem to a higher standard, just like Vince Staples, and that's the point that he was trying to get across. And but I get the message. M killed it when it came to the message, but trust me, M got bars that are slaughtered at what he did to for the BET thing. He got bars that just, blow your effing mind, and that's the point Vince was trying to get across when all the stands tried to attack him. He didn't say he disliked Eminem. He didn't say Eminem was whack. He just said that he didn't like the verse.
Drop the Mic premieres October 24th at 10:30 p.m. on TBS. You can also see him on The Deuce. He plays a pimp Sunday nights. HBO, are you ready to pick some games, sir? Because if you win, you do understand that you got to come back next week. That's how that one works. And last time we asked you, you're the only one in the history of the show. We say, hey, Meth, we'll talk to you tomorrow. And last time you said, no, well, you're not talking to me tomorrow. I'm leaving. Yeah, you enjoyed doing that to us. I know. I can tell in your laugh. You remember that. But you understand the rules on this, right? If you have a winning week, you have to come back next week.
All right, I will.
All right. Good enthusiasm.
We'll promote stuff for you, man.
All right, look at this production right here.
It is time for Celebrity Prognosticator. Let's
back.
win some money.
This is the height. Look at this. The height of entertainment right here. You work with David Simon on The Deuce, but you heard that. That is how we produce around here. Man of many mansions. New York Jets at Dolphins. Dolphins -3. Who you got?
Ooh, I didn't get the first part.
Jets at Dolphins. Dolphins -3.
Oh, man. I'm going to have to go with the Jets home team. I have to.
Well, the Dolphins are the home team.
Oh, the Dolphins are... No,
the Jets are his home team.
Okay, your home team. All right, very good. Panthers at Bears. My bad. Bears +3. Who you got?
Panthers.
Seahawks at Giants. Giants +4.5. Who you got?
Hawks.
Cowboys at 49ers +6.
Cowboys.
Falcons at Patriots. Who you got?
Ooh, I'm going to go with the Super Bowl champ Patriots.
Yeah. You don't even need a point spread, right? Are you a gambler at all?
Not at all.
Okay. Do you know much about football?
Yeah.
Okay. I was hoping you'd say no, because then I'd say perfect. But instead, I just don't know whether you follow football. So, okay. Very good.
I have kids that play. My son Raekwon, he plays for Curtis Warriors, who won the city championship last year. 12-0. Go Warriors.
All right, very good. Thank you. Method Man, we appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
No problem, my brother.
All right, hope we talk to him next week. What were you cringing at, Mike, there, that I said home team?
You were just so bad that interview. You were just really bad that entire interview.
Really? What happened?
There were several things. I didn't want to point them out because we're headed into the
Deuce,
weekend.
He's promoting Deuce. It's not the Deuce. It's Deuce. No, it's the Deuce.
The album dropped last week.
Yeah, just talk to us about ODB. Just tell us a story. You hate those questions in the NBA. Talk a little bit about. Man.
But it's ODB, Mike. It's not talk about the game. It's talk about old dirty bastards.
Don't get defensive. I mean, just because the Ricky Schroeder question was the best one out of the interview. I mean.
Oh, and by the way, a question that you asked the exact same question after Stugotz already asked it.
Yeah, just take
Which one?
You repeated basically Stugotz's question word for word.
Which one?
The Silver Spoons one.
You're like, wait, so...
Yeah.
Okay. I thought that was a good interview. Put it on the poll, Guillermo. At
You
Levitard
thought
Show.
it was good.
Beauty's in the eye of the beholder.
It was good.
Yeah.
You not so
It was
much.
great. It was great. It was great. It was great. It was great.
Well, I want, like the NFL, like the owners get credit for stuff that's good, even though they're not the ones who created it.
Yeah.
I thought that was a good interview, and I am willing to acknowledge it had nothing to do with me. And in fact, I played defense against it being better.
Okay, we agree.
I'll take the credit. I'll take all the credit.
We scribble lines.
I mean, he's a big lacrosse player. If he comes back next week, because he's been on a few times now, I've never asked him about lacrosse. I would like to ask him some lacrosse questions, if that's okay. I'm not saying it will be any good, but I'd like to go down that path with him, because what you just did was...
Don Lebatard.
It's an opinion question. I gave you my answer.
Okay, but you're wrong.
Oh.
Stugotz.
I don't respect your opinion.
Okay.
This is the Don Lebatard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
So Mike Ryan has reached just about his limit on Stugotz for the week. We're all ready to get into the weekend. And the last thing Stugotz did was incredibly Stugotzian, which is everyone gets pizza around here on Fridays. Guillermo, can you put it on the poll, please, Guillermo?
Last thing I did was pump the brakes.
The last thing you did was leave a pizza that had a bite taken out of it in among a group of pizza that had not been eaten.
I just threw a steel pen at you.
Yeah, and some papers.
Sorry.
A zebra pen. Thanks to the people at Zebra for providing the pens that Stugotz throws at me.
By the way, the pen is in tremendous shape.
Yes,
it survived.
it was fine. And if it had hit my face as he intended, it would have harmed me on television. That's how good Zebra pens are. You could use them.
Still intact.
You could use them also. This is a new marketing device. Zebra pens, really strong. You could throw them at your co-host's face.
I didn't mean to. I'm sorry.
But this is what we were talking about during the break. And Stugotz lies so much, and he doesn't take inventory of his lies, that even when he's telling the truth, we don't believe him on anything. And so what's happened here? What's wrong, Stugotz? What are you objecting to?
I mean, listen. I've done this to myself, so I'm frustrated at myself. I'm not going to lash out elsewhere, because I understand why everyone would think that I was the one who did this. But I am sitting here telling you guys that I did not do it.
You absolutely took a bite out of a piece of pizza and put it back with the rest of the pizza.
And so put that on the poll first, Guillermo. Is it okay to take a bite out of a piece of pizza?
It's a communal pizza.
Yeah, and of a communal pizza, and leave it there among the unbitten pizza.
It's something I have done. It's something I'll do again. I think it's perfectly fine. It wouldn't rattle me. If someone else did it, I'd just grab a slice. I might grab that slice.
But the
and take a bite
problem
out of
is
it.
here, we don't have any other leads. Like it's not even like we think that there's somebody else it might be. There has been slovenly behavior that might be covered up with lies. We all know where to look on that without being detectives. Like sloppy, slovenly, unhygienic behavior that is being denied through lies. I wonder who that is. Like, I mean, what?
I mean, Bruce, probably.
You're blaming the guy. You're blaming the guy.
Who else would it be?
Bruce in the control room.
I owe money.
Bruce
there,
in the control room is who you're blaming for doing that. It's just it really is stupefying, though, that you are.
I didn't do it, man.
We established in the 9 o'clock Eastern hour today that your words, we actually said this, your words aren't words. They're merely bridges toward other lies. We've already established this. Like, you don't use words the way other people do them. They're just transitions and bridges to get you to the next lie.
Did you think it was okay to take a bite of the thin crust pizza because it was thin crust? It's not your traditional slice of pizza. Do you think it's more acceptable to take a bite of those?
You're asking me like I actually did this thing.
I'm trying to trick you into it. Like I did. I thought I would trick you into admitting it.
You don't understand that every other lead is a cold case, like dead on arrival, and it's just you're such an obvious suspect here.
Is the slice touching anything though? Like, is it touching the other pizzas?
No.
Oh, who cares then?
Thank you,
We don't have plates here.
Guillermo, you $2 because you timed that just well enough to step on the Stugotz joke that was going to end the segment.
It was me.
Don Le Batard.
Didn't you say you were going to clean up your diet today so that you would be more alert and just better at this in general?
I jogged today. I ate healthy today, and by healthy, I had a pepperoni pizza.
I was going to say, you made Chris Cody order you a pepperoni pizza.
It's healthier than what I had on Friday, man. Baby steps.
Stugotz.
Stugotz.
A little pepperoni pizza, Dan.
You promised on all. You promised.
Do you know the health benefits of pizza?
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
I mean, Guillermo was amazing last segment because he got in there very aggressively and just trampled Stugotz's joke. But as soon as I pointed it out and we go to commercial, Guillermo spits because you were so good with Method Man. And just classic deflection.
I mean, everyone's lashing out all over the place today.
I just got a pen thrown at me, at my face by Stugotz.
Sorry about that. I am not, but I am sorry.
Also, just to show you the way that executives can foul things up, and maybe if I point this out to Bristol, there will be a change that allows us some sunshine in this room. But we have had people telling us, we've got a nice view. We are right on the beach here in South Florida. We've got a nice view, and because of lighting and 1,000 other things, they will not allow us to open up the windows around here because they got to have things put up. And so we've got art now put up in front of one of the beautiful windows. And you can't see it right now, but it looks like one of the worst words in the English language is up on the screen. Like it is. I think it's number 2. I think the rankings would be on awful language. I think it would be number 2 all time, and it might be number 1. It might literally be, yeah. This word is the worst word. Or just about.
It's been up there for almost a year now, and behind Billy, there's a placard that he hasn't wanted up there ever because he wants to see the beautiful window. But there's a bunch of faded words behind a shipping container that says "frightened refugees," and the actual shipping container cuts off a word that's supposed to be continued on another placard, and that word is container. But the container cuts off the O halfway through, so it looks like a horrible word.
Yeah, this shouldn't be up.
And what's happening here, but this strikes me as something, though, how perfect is this as symbolism for how bureaucracy gets in the way. We got to cover up that window with our executive influence. Let's put the worst word in the world on the window. Good idea. Good work. Thanks for being a helpful teammate.
Man, we just took down that placard.
We have to take it down. We just noticed after a year. Look at that. Light coming into this damn dungeon. Look at this. There's sunshine, palm trees.
Plus, we're keeping Pitino out.
That was a surprise. What a great joke.
I don't even care that you
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I didn't even see it coming.
No, out of nowhere. Not unlike Pitino at night. You never see it. All right, let's go ahead and update these polls here because there have been only 1,000 conversations today that I've wanted to get into. They're all in the polls, and I don't feel like we've gotten any of them off the ground.
The Twitter poll is brought to you by Upside. Now say big on travel and get a big gift card every trip you buy. You love Upside.com. That is Upside.com. Did you know that Merriam-Webster was 3 dudes? 92% of the audience said no. Would a team of mascots beat a team of kickers? That is a great question.
We never even talked about it.
We got a lot of votes on that one. 66% of the audience said yes.
At football, would a team of mascots beat a team of kickers?
Would you watch a team of mascots play a team of kickers on TV? 73% of the audience said hell yes. Is Stugotz a Greater Miami Chamber of Commerce Hall of Famer? 57% said yes. All right. Does that mean I'm in?
No.
But you're in. Congratulations to you, Dan.
Thank you.
We're proud of you here. Did it sound like Dan started doing HQ to spite Stugotz? 89% of the audience said yes. Did you know that Dr. Seuss didn't actually like children? 66% of the audience said no. Did you know that Dr. Seuss is actually pronounced Dr. How do you say it, Dan?
Seuss.
Dr. Seuss. 58% of the audience said no.
Why is Marty Smith on television with a cow?
I'm pretty sure he's fixing to milk one.
Yeah.
Is he going to milk one in a
He
second?
better milk one.
Is that chocolate milk in his hand?
You're going to roll up those sleeves.
There are a lot of cows. Not a few cows. A lot of cows.
What's going on there? Is Carpathian Mountains an excellent phrase? 57% of the audience said yes.
Let's hold on a second because we haven't played that in a while. Jay Bilas hasn't been heard from in a long time, and we were talking about how we think that the vampire Pitino might have gotten him at their interview at midnight the other night, and we found some exclusive audio. This is the last anyone's heard from Jay Bilas calling his producer on his way to that interview with Pitino.
Hello, no one is available to take your call. Please leave a message after the tone.
Hey, David, it's Bilas. We're all set for the Pitino interview. He didn't ask for any conditions on topics. I can ask anything I want, and I can go into any area I want. He did have a couple of requests, logistical stuff, so it shouldn't be a big deal. He'd like to do the interview at midnight, and he's going to be in the Carpathian Mountains, so I guess we'll have to have a local camera crew. Really can't blame him for wanting to get out of town with all the media attention. He did ask about our blood types, and he expressed some concern over garlic being used, so you might want to let catering know that he may have some dietary restrictions. He said bottled water would be fine, and asked that we make sure there was no holy water. He asked about the appropriate attire, which, frankly, I hadn't thought about, so I just told him business casual, open collar. That seemed to make him happy. He asked if I was going to wear a turtleneck, but I told him I'm not Steve Jobs or Mike Bray, and he got a kick out of that one. So, okay, that's it. So I'll just see you at the venue. Let's not let this out to anyone until the interview's done. Don't tell Batard because he'll just make a big joke out of everything on the air. No offense, but that guy's stupid. All right, later.
What is the movie that Jay Bilas starred in?
I Come in Peace. And he didn't quite star in it. 5th from top billing.
Yes.
Okay, I Come in Peace, but he acted very well. He acted very well in that movie.
Yeah, he was fantastic as an alien.
Mm-hmm. What else do we have on the poll? Yeah, we're going to miss him if we don't find him.
Yeah,
because his acting is what we'll miss. Go ahead, Stugotz. What else do you have there in the poll?
Is Khalil Mack the closest thing to Lawrence
wait a
Taylor?
Minute. He is going to milk a cow. He is going to milk a cow.
All right, you want to play this? Or
Hold on
you want to break in live?
Yes, let's break in live to Marty Smith milking a cow. Okay. Yeah. Marty Smith is on television. Man, you guys know.
I'm milking this cow.
Yeah,
well, normally we would use a machine. Okay, this is the machine we use to milk them, but not today. Today we're going to go back old school. Old school, baby. Old school. That's right.
Of course.
Yeah. So the first thing we're going to want to do is prep our cow. So we got some soap here that we're going to put on the teat end. Oh, she shudders. It's cold. Might be a little cold. We're going to get a towel. We're going to clean this up really good.
He is so
We don't want any of your germs getting on her after
No,
that.
I got gloves on, man. If you're just joining us, we're watching Marty Smith milk a cow.
Squeeze the milk out, then we want to start at the top, pull down.
Start at the top and pull down. She's going to kick me in the face?
No, you don't have to show her how much of a man you are. Be gentle. A little bit gentle.
Nice and gentle.
Yeah.
Yeah! All right.
So great.
We're milking cows on Sports Center. David Lloyd, if that's not unprecedented, Kerry Champion, if that's not unprecedented Sports Center, I want to see it.
Is it unprecedented?
That's college football at its finest, y'all.
No, it's not, Marty. Marty, it doesn't have anything to do with college football.
No, it doesn't.
Didn't Mike and Mike milk a cow one time?
Yeah, but not on Sports Center.
Yeah, not on
Mike
Sports
and Mike.
Center, though.
Yeah.
Not quite without precedent.
Let's go ahead and continue to update the polls.
Is Khalil Mack the closest thing to Lawrence Taylor since Lawrence Taylor? 58% of the audience said yes. Is it too high?
I don't know. Keep it moving.
64% of the audience said yes. Is I Stand with Stu and Dan a movement you can get behind? 64% of the audience said yes. Which was the better TV mansion, Silver Spoon's mansion or the Addams Family mansion? 63% of the audience, this is an upset here, went with the Addams Family. Was that a good interview? The Method Man one. 59% of the audience, sorry, Dan, said no.
Oh, no, it was a good interview. I wasn't any good.
Okay.
Is that it?
We're done.
All right, so this guy writes in on Twitter because we've got this poll. I stand with Stu and Dan, a movement you can get behind. That's in relation to, we were talking about standing wipers and sitting wipers, and I stand with Stu and Dan, a movement you can get behind. This guy writes in, honestly, it depends on the rationale and the reasoning behind it.
You don't get the show.
A movement you can get behind. I stand with Stu and Dan, a movement you can get behind. Hit him with it again, Mike. No, hit him with it again.
You don't get the show.
Come on, man.
The rare double.
Hold that thought.
Yeah.
Don Le Batard.
It's Friday. I'm getting into the weekend. I want to get my drink on.
Stugotz.
We've got to open up the club. Open it. Open it. Open it. Now. What is the computer buffering? There it is.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Texter writes in, Dan, are you getting into that pizza? You sound even fatter than you did yesterday. One of the things I saw on TV here, Stugotz, Lonzo Ball looked like a kid. He looked. He didn't look like he was. Yeah, I know. He didn't look physically ready. It's unusual, though. That's not something you see from the second pick in the draft. You don't see guys in the pros and say, no matter how young we're letting him in, you don't say, oh, that guy's not quite a man enough yet to do this.
It's funny because I've watched a lot of basketball this week, and I watched Jason Tatum play, and he looks older. He looks like he belongs right now. I watched Fox play for Sacramento, and oh my God, is he good and is he fast? And Lonzo Ball, I had that same feeling watching him last night.
I'm confused by Lonzo Ball in general. His success confuses me because I'm not looking out there and seeing like high-level athleticism that I'm blown away by. There's no one thing that he does that I'm like, wow, that's a special thing. He's at the, passing. Yes, he passes well. Agreed.
He actually rebounds pretty well for a guard. He does. He did so in the preseason, and he did so last night.
I know, but I'm saying yes, but you understand what I'm saying, that I don't look at him and see a whole lot of, this is not to question him.
Right.
It's to confuse me. Like if you'd told me where will this person go in the draft, and I was just watching a bunch of college basketball, he wouldn't look like Dwayne Wade to me. I'd be sort of like, okay, that's a good college player.
Sure.
Like his athleticism doesn't jump out to me in any way that makes me understand why he was picked that high.
Right. No, it's interesting.
But they know. I'm not questioning that they know.
Oh, of course they know. It's just that's such a tough assignment last night. Like you're going up against Patrick Beverley, and like he is just digging in. He is digging in, and he's a great defender.
Yes,
man.
He is great, and anyone's going to struggle against him. Let's go ahead and open up the club for the weekend, send you into the weekend. We do it every week. At about this time, we send you into the weekend with an assortment of sounds. Let's go. Open it. So what do we have here? The first sound allowed in the club here, happy hour at 9:51 West Coast time. First sound in the club.
Stick to how you're coached. Go back to the basics. Stay within yourself, stay within the offense, and just do your job. And it's all about trusting your teammates. We made it happen when we needed it, so it was good to see.
Man, Trubisky, I hate you, dude. I'm sorry, but if that's the way you're going to be, I'm just going to have to hate you for the rest of your career. Deal? All right, good. Like, it's just the deal. What else you got?
Let's go, Guillermo.
That is Guillermo doing an impersonation of Jason Statham, rescuing Guillermo from a real-life death situation and getting frustrated by the general neuroses of Guillermo.
Let's go, Guillermo.
I don't know. That doesn't sound anything like Jason Statham. I don't know when Guillermo got into the impression business.
Let's go, Guillermo.
Should probably get out.
I mean, it doesn't sound like Jason Statham. It sounds like somebody doing a cartoon voice of a villain.
Let's go, Guillermo.
Who else is in the club?
And finally, Cher. Really? She's coming back? Whoa.
Really enthusiastic Stugotz about the return of Cher.
Whoa.
It's just weird.
I'll never be able to explain that.
I was still asking him questions off air about it. I called him. I'm like, what happened there? He's like, I don't think I'll ever know.
Really? She's coming back? Whoa.
Who else in the club?
That's the gospel truth.
Oh, I like that appearance by Bob Ryan. He brought thunder.
Yes.
Who else?
He's going to be in the Carpathian Mountains, so I guess we'll have to have a local camera crew.
Yeah, I don't think we should joke about that, Mike. Like, I think that's disrespectful.
Make sure he's okay first.
Yeah, I mean, that too soon. We think he's been abducted by Count Pitino. Let's not make jokes about it. Who else in the club?
One play at a time. Something will happen if we just all do our jobs and stick together, and it did on that run.
Trubisky, I thought you were good at North Carolina. I thought you were a pro. I wanted people to be excited by you. You're awful, Trubisky. This will contaminate the way that I experience the way you play for the rest of your life. I must root against you through eternity. Who else in the club?
A lot of Frank, a lot of Mac. Mac and Frank. Mac and Frank and Mac. Mac and cheese.
That, of course, is the illustrious animation you find on the side of a plumber's van.
We're going with Frank and Mac. Frank and Mac attack. You guys like it? I like it. I just made it up. Frank and Mac. Not cheese and Mac. We're going Frank and Mac.
Chuck Pagano. Who else is in the club? Oh, that's Mike Ryan's reaction to the LeBron James Dwayne Wade interview.
Actually, that's the actual sound of that interview.